Hello, and welcome to Dark Age Ramblings. Is the mainstream media ready to make the shift? Are they really going to switch from global warming and climate change to global cooling and a grand solar minimum? Let's take a look. Real quick, before we get into the report, you might hear some chickens in the background. I'm out here hanging out in the chicken run. It's just a nice place to chill and get away from the family. My kids haven't found me out here yet. The first piece I want to bring to everyone's attention is from weather.com. The title is Winter Temperature Outlook: Why This November Cold Snap Increases Odds of a Cold Winter in the East. At a glance, a split temperature story is expected this winter: cold in the east and warm in the west. February is anticipated to be the coldest of the 3 winter months. A developing variation of the El Nino and a weak polar vortex are the cold culprits. Prolonged November cold and early snowfall are helping to raise the odds of a persistently cold winter in the east, according to the latest outlook from the weather company and IBM Business. The United States has had its most expansive November snow cover in almost 3 years, due to plunging jet streams centered over the central U.S. This persistent upper level of trough has led to above average snowfall, not only where snow is expected along the northern tier of the country, but also through much of the plains. At first glance, you would think it's a good thing if you like a quiet winter, but a weaker polar vortex allows for more Arctic blasts to surge southward. This is because air that circulates around a stronger polar vortex, again, a low pressure system, maintains its momentum around the polar region. A weaker polar vortex is vulnerable to being thrown out of whack. One signature of a weaker polar vortex is a blocked up flow of weather from west to east, which is what we're seeing in November. This clogged pattern has allowed for repeated bursts of cold air to flow in from Canada. Now, this is the piece that I find most interesting of the whole article. They actually mention solar cycles and the sun having an effect on Earth's weather. This more variable jet stream idea is also supported by our current place in the solar cycle. It is thought that we are now within a year of the least active part of the 11-year solar cycle, meaning less heat is being directed at our equator. Less heat in the equatorial region generally means there is less of a temperature gradient between the poles and the equator, which leads to a weaker polar vortex and more opportunities for cold outbreaks in the U.S. Real quick, I want to bring you over to Google and show you what articles are being recommended to me at the moment. I do a lot of research on global cooling and a little bit into global warming just to see what the other side is saying. Some of the articles being put out right now, NASA warns record low temperatures could be on the way after latest sunspot activity. This was put out November 16th. Originally in the Sun, then through Fox News. This one is Space Coast Daily. A long cold winter could hit space in months, bringing record low temperatures, NASA has warned. That's the warning from a scientist who fears sunspot activity on the surface of our star has dropped so low that record low temperatures could soon set in. We see a cooling trend, says Martin Lanzak of NASA's Langley Research Center. High above Earth's surface, near the edge of space, our atmosphere is losing heat energy. If current trends continue, it could soon set a space-age record for cold. Solar minimum can enhance the effects of space weather, disrupt communications and navigation, and even cause space junk to hang around. All of these are things that were reported in the short. So in addition to the NASA warns record low temperatures could be on the way article, there is a piece out from the opposite side saying no, there isn't going to be a mini ice age. But then I see one here in the middle. Professor Valentina explains and confirms why a super grand solar minimum is upon us. Professor Valentina Zharkova gave a presentation of her climate and the solar magnetic field hypothesis at the Global Warming Policy Foundation in October of 2018. The information she unveiled should shake and wake you up. Zharkova was one of the few that correctly predicted solar cycle 24 would be weaker than cycle 23. Only 2 out of 50 models predicted this. Her models have run at a 93% accuracy, and her findings suggest a super grand minimum is on the cards beginning in 2020 and running for 350 to 400 years. The last time that we had a little ice age, only 2 magnetic fields of the sun went out of phase. This time, all 4 magnetic fields are going out of phase. So on this page, it actually mentions Diamond of Oppenheimer Ranch, and Lee Wheelbarger as a great explanation of Zharkova's work. And then it continues on, bringing up Lee Wheelbarger sums it up. Even the IPCC's worst case scenarios are seen that only a 1.5 watt per square meter increase. Zharkova's analysis shows a 8 watts per square meter increase in TSI to the planet. Forget the arguments, debates, and attempts to win over the AGW's alarmists and just prepare. Preparation is definitely key going into these next few years. So, to sum it all up, I don't think the mainstream is quite ready to make the shift to talking about grand solar minimum yet, but they are noting that the solar minimum does have an effect on the weather. In other publications, though, grand solar minimum is starting to show up. Mostly in the independent news agencies and alternative news feeds. Please like and subscribe this video, and prepare for the future. It's getting cold out there.